Hello.
Mr. Gavin.
What's going on?
I bring you your tool back, sir.
Awesome.
Are you starting on the Crown Vic?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, hells yeah.
I mean, beat yeah.
Is this the turbo setup?
Twin turbos.
This is two.
Two turbos. Two little tiny guys going in the trunk.
Is this the eBay kit?
I got it on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
So, but I think they're probably the same kit.
These look like, what are these, about the size of like the old T3s?
It's like a T3, T4 hybrid.
Is it like a knockoff?
Total knockoff.
Made in like China?
I think that'd be a blessing if it was made in China, yes.
I don't know. That'd be cool. How's it running?
It runs good.
Where did you drive it last?
I think I moved it last year. And it ran good. It still runs really good.
Is this the one you got that had the backwards fuel filter?
Yes, so this is a car I bought. It ran, I got it from the state, but it had issues, and they disclose all that stuff where you couldn't hit the throttle, it wouldn't drive.
But it would start.
But it would start and it ran, idled fine. It had a little bit of a miss to it. So I got it having another one of these, thinking I'd just combine the two cars and make a good one. And after trying to diagnose, no check engine light, trying to diagnose what was wrong with this car, I put coils in it, I put injectors in it, no difference. I'm like, well, I'm gonna just change fuel filter and see. Take fuel filter out, and not thinking about it, and it goes clink, clink, and I look at it, and I'm like, clink, 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 clink. I'm like, what the heck is going on with this? And then I start realizing they had this thing in backwards. Oh. So I cut it open, and sure enough, so the fuel was going into the inside of the filter, which is basically just glued to the end. So it popped off. So as soon as there was pressure movement, it would stick to the other side and shut the flow
like
off.
A one-way valve.
It was like a one-way valve. And changed it, it runs perfect.
So this has the returnless fuel.
It's returnless fuel.
So it modulates the fuel pump for pressure.
Right.
When the older ones, they had the two, where it would be like a regulated filter.
Right.
So it would be the pressure in, pressure out, and regulated.
Let's see.
Those you could put in backwards.
Yeah, right. This is a single in, single out. So, and that's actually a little bit of the unknown for me doing this in this car is what I'm going to change fuel pump. Mm-hmm. But what is the computer going to do?
Oh yeah.
Fuel pump? So there's a lot of unknowns. Like how is the car going to react to this type of thing?
Yeah, because it uses pulse width modulation for
fuel pressure.
Which isn't, I never liked that because your fuel pump is constantly getting variable voltage.
Right.
And so I feel like that puts so much stress on the fuel pump when you should just have an external fuel pressure regulator that takes that.
It seems like they kind of reinvented the wheel.
So you'll probably you'll run like a 255 fuel pump and then pressure regulator up here.
Yeah.
And then just change out the injectors.
Yeah, so I talked to Chad and he said to get some 60-pound injectors. So we're gonna do 60-pound injectors.
Aren't these 24?
I want to say they're 19.
Oh, jeez.
But I'm not 100% sure about that.
How much boost are you gonna run?
So I want to try to hit 400 rear horsepower at less than 8 pounds.
And you're running 373 gears, right?
That's the only 373 gears, Cobra R clutches, and then I didn't even do it, but someone pulled the silencer out of the intake. So the cop that had this.
I thought you were gonna say pulled the air filter. Give it
that
extra flow.
They pulled that so it makes that cool cop car noise. But I didn't even do that. It actually came that way. So whoever, this was State Patrol, Washington State Patrol. So this is assigned to a specific person.
Oh, what year is this?
2010.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the pentultimate year of the Panther.
Yeah.
Right?
Second to
11.
last. Second to last.
Second to last, yeah.
I think 11 or 12.
I think 11 was the last year of the Panther platform entirely.
Yeah, but I think the town car go a little longer? No.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Yeah, it's who knows. Sad day though.
But this is sweet. You got the extra oil filter, you've got the extra transmission cooler in the front.
Yeah.
You got the larger mass airflow sensor already. Damn, that thing is smooth. That might be the smoothest Crown Vic I've ever seen.
So this is probably one of the smoothest running engines I've ever owned, as far as just such minimal motion.
Do you ever try to put a coin on it?
I haven't. Have you ever seen that?
I've seen people do it.
I don't think I've ever had
it's
an
all a
engine
crock
that-
of crap.
Do you have a nickel?
Maybe. That was close.
No, I bet it'll stay. Dude, this thing is like,
Wild one.
I think that's me. That was me leaning against the car. Look at that.
Yeah, and that's side to side.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the direction that it would be rolling.
Dude, that's crazy. I wonder if there's a flat spot to do it this way. I'm just trying to roll away. Oh, it wants to.
Can you do it right here? Oh, what? That might have been me because I got off the car.
Crazy. Dude, this thing's gonna scream.
So my biggest issue with turbocharging vehicles that I don't like to do it, I don't like that you have to dedicate so much room to the front for intercoolers.
Right.
And then it bothers me that anything that came naturally aspirated, it's not going to have like a map sensor that's like a 2-bar or a 3-bar. So
Right.
like everything in the PCM and the ECUs is all designed to be either like neutral or under vacuum. It's never
Right.
designed for pressure. So trying to deal with those two things makes turboing things just really upsetting for me. And I'm always like, oh, I could run a turbo and then just not run an intercooler, and I'll just only run 4 pounds of boost or whatever.
Right,
You know? And
yeah,
I try and
yeah.
convince myself of that, but it's like all that work for nothing.
Yeah, and you know, on this thing too, it's like I want this thing to drive totally normal. I don't want to alter the way it drives. You know, drivability.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this is to have an actual sleeper that isn't a temperamental sleeper.
Yeah.
It's a drive it to the grocery store and then someone pulls up and is like, hey, you know, and
All right.
chase him down in a crowd with it.
Before you even get started, how much lag do you think it's going to have?
Okay, so lag is a huge concern. And it's going to be terrible, and I know it's going to be terrible, and I'm going to make it worse because eventually I'm going to put a manual in this.
Well, okay, so you've got the 373s. The highest ratio these came with from the factory would have been if you had the Police Interceptor, which this does, and you optioned the 355s. Otherwise,
Right.
they came with an open 327s after 2005.
Right.
So anything after 2005 was a 327, unless you got the limited slip, and unless you got the 355s.
Yeah.
So you've got 373s now, and it's only a 4-speed automatic transmission. So
Right.
that should be ideal if you're going to have turbo lag. For sticking in the right gear.
Right.
Once you go to a 6-speed, it's gonna suck.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 5-speed. I think we're going to
okay.
TKO.
A TKO?
Yeah, I have a 5-speed from a Mustang, but I just from a GT Mustang 4.6. But after really thinking about it, I don't think it's worth converting to that transmission just to then have to convert it again.
Yeah. I've done that where I've
Yeah.
converted something because I had the transmission,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it would have been nicer to just
start.
To just start with what you want.
I'm all in for doing it cheap, and it would be cool to put that 5-speed in. But it's in this heavy of a car versus a Mustang, you're really asking that transmission to do a lot.
Yeah.
A lot more than it should.
Well, and this has, so the transmissions for the Police Interceptors are different. It's not
Yeah.
a 4R70W, it's a 4R75W.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I think it's just, I think it has an added clutch pack
Okay.
on a couple of the forward gears.
Yeah.
And then I think it runs at a slightly higher pressure.
I do like,
I know it's a
and I
little
don't know if this is normal for all of them, but these cop cars, every single one of these I have has a gear line.
Oh, yeah?
You can hear the gears inside the transmission shifting. It's like, you know, and
Yeah.
it's like, it's cool sounding to me, but
the difference that I always see is like when you put it in gear, there's like, you know, there's like that little half second, but it's like you
Yeah.
put it in gear, it's like,
Yeah.
like it feels like it goes into gear. Like
yeah, they
super
do. They
solid.
have bigger boost.
And I don't
valves,
know
so-
if it's just because it's a cop car, but I feel like you can do like those the J turns, you know, where you're in
Yeah.
reverse, rah, and you slam it into
Yeah.
drive, and it seems to absorb that just fine.
No, that's totally true. The like on a 700 R4 back in the day, the cop cars would have the bigger boost valves.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So then people started repurposing those boost valves for the.
Did you see when I did the Crown Vic trophy truck, I did the J-mod to the transmission? Did you see that?
The J-mod.
Yeah, the J-mod is, so it's the guy who designed the rumor on the internet, if you go around there, is that the guy who actually designed the 4R70W, which is the same as a 4R75, which is what you have, he said if you make these modifications, it'll make it shift much firmer and much faster.
Okay.
So you actually take off the valve body, and then it's the separator plate in between the valve body and the transmission.
Right.
And he tells you exactly where to drill and what size.
Okay.
So you can go on like eBay, and sometimes they'll give you like the drill bits along with the new gaskets.
Yeah.
And then that's it. You just take that plate out, you drill exactly where you
Yeah.
said. Dude, it made a huge difference on
Yeah.
the trophy truck. Yeah, so when I took the transmission apart, everything looked nice and clean inside. And usually these cop cars, the fluid on it is just...
Have you changed the trans fluid?
No.
Usually it's like just beautiful cherry because they get serviced by actual people that need to service them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it looks beautiful. But the inside of these always looks really nice. And then yeah, you pull that pan off, drill those holes.
Yeah,
It's
I may service that thing while we have it apart, just so that it lasts as long as it possibly can.
Yeah, it's at least worth pulling
if
the
there's
filter and
a
checking for
cheap
metal.
shift kit I can get, or a way of increasing line pressure on that, it would.
Yeah, the
it's
JMod
kinda-
increases it, I think, like 6 or 10 psi. It's just pretty good.
Yeah, I might have to look into that.
Yeah, check it out.
You know, the longer that transmission will last, the better.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want it to blow up on the dyno.
How long is it going to take?
So I was giving myself a month to do it. I really don't think it's going to take that long.
1 month. You heard him.
Yeah, I have a tendency to do everything overkill.
How many videos do you think?
Okay, so how I'm going to do this video series is going to be a video every other day of
Okay.
wherever I'm at on it, and I'm going to work on it pretty much straight through until it's done. We have a trade show to do at the end of the month, but hopefully I can get caught up enough to where.
Can Chad do a dyno before you start?
He's really busy. I didn't really want to. He could and he would, but I really didn't want to bug him.
Yeah.
With it.
Well, there's enough stock Crown Vics out there. That you,
Yeah, so I've seen a few of them, and they usually put around 200 horse to the rear.
Yeah.
So
200, and then
and this one runs so good, and
Yeah.
it's such a good running car that I'm gonna guess that it's at least 200 to the rear wheels. So maybe
it's probably more
so-
now with the 373s. That'll help.
Yeah, it'll help, but I'm not sure on a dyno. Yeah, chassis dyno.
I didn't think that made a difference.
It will.
But then
Yeah.
I watched Cletus.
Yeah.
And no, they would get dramatically different readings.
Really?
Oh yeah. When they, I think they did the Crown Vic with the Coyote, and then they did 5 or 6 speed in it, and they had way different readings just from changing up the rear ratio.
Yeah.
Which
I
surprised
didn't
me.
realize they had a Crown Vic with a Coyote. I thought they had the 32 valve Marauder engine.
I thought it was a Coyote, but it might have been.
I thought it was a Marauder 32
I just
valve.
remember them throwing in a different V8 and then a manual.
Yeah, I don't. I spend my time building stuff. I don't watch as much, very much, many videos. But yeah, I could have, and I could be totally wrong. Well, he has a Marauder too, so I could be getting confused.
Yeah, I'm not
because
sure.
he has a Marauder.
Well, the Marauder wasn't the Marauder 4.6 as
32
well?
valve.
It's a 32 valve, but the
Yeah.
Marauder uses the same larger 70 millimeter mass air sensor, or whatever the big one is.
Yeah, but it's a 32 valve, and you can actually get some of those. And I always thought it would be a cool build to build a town car.
Oh yeah,
because some of the town cars have 32 valves.
but it's a 32 valve iron block, right?
I
It's
don't
not
know
a
that
32
much.
valve aluminum block like the Intech Mark 7s.
Yeah, I honestly I would be guessing. So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, let's start building.
Let's start building. All right, guys. So I got it up on the lift, and I'm looking at stuff and kind of coming up with a game plan. And I decided reluctantly that I'm not going to put the exhaust or the turbos in the trunk like I wanted. And I still think it would be really cool to do it, but the amount of exhaust pipe to go from the more traditional place to mount them, which is up here, to get them to be in the trunk, which we have to go around the side and up to get in there because we got a fuel tank. This is a fuel tank. And then the frame rail's right on the side, so we'd have to cross over to the outside and go up. Anyway, way too much pipe. which would create way too much leg. And also boost pressures and everything. It would basically, you're cutting your performance every foot you go farther back. So it's just not worth it. So we're going to start from scratch with the exhaust. I'm just going to take all the exhaust out. And then we're going to hold the turbos up and figure out how we need to get the exhaust to there and still leave room for our intake charge tube to come up to the front of the motor, which is basically going to have to be where this exhaust tube is in this hump here. So, whether that be we run both exhaust tubes down this side and then the charge tube down this side, which is probably what's going to happen. So we'll end up crossing the driver's side exhaust in front. This is the bell housing right here, and then come back. So we have two pipes side by side. That's probably what's going to happen. But I don't want to commit to anything. I do know the only thing I'm committing to right now is that I don't want this exhaust on here anymore. So we're going to take it off. So let's get going on taking this exhaust off, and then we'll start holding some turbos up and try to come up with a game plan on how we're going to make this thing work. Now that's some creative factory bending. All I'm doing here is loosening the bolts around the exhaust side of the turbo so that we can rotate it around so I can play with it while we're trying to figure out a position for these things. I hate buying tools with those stupid snap rings. They always fall off. They never last. I don't know why they even bother with those stupid things. Okay. There we go. All right. So I put longer bolts in. I got to change them on the other turbo still. But that's roughly it. Obviously, the rotation part of it will be controlled by the exhaust tube going in. But that's, holding them up really good. And then once we get the rotation part down, that'll be good. So this should be pretty good. I don't know exactly where these are going to be rotated to. Obviously, I want to get them up as high as I can, but at the same time, I don't want a crazy angle in the exhaust coming in, because it's basically going to go down into this one and about straight into the one over here. So I got these pointed the right way. That's not adjustable anymore because the way I did my mounts, but that's okay. I can work with those the way they're pointing. I got them close enough. This one's going to be really good. This one I think is going to be good. And what I was doing there is even though it's kind of pointing downhill, I'm going to run it up and over the exhaust right here, the drive line. But I needed it to be 90, and if I had it pointing straight up, because it's at this angle, it would have been more than 90, so it would have been coming back. So that's why I have it pointing down, so that way when I put a 90 on it, it'll be going like this. And shooting it up. So it's going to go doop, doop, if that makes sense. So there was a method to the madness on that one, why it's pointing down a little bit, but that's going to work out good. So this will be 2-inch. This is going to be 2-inch, and then they're going to Y right here into 2.5 to 2.5 connectors. So I just have, I ordered some couplers that'll go from 2-inch to 2.5, and then it's going to be 2.5 all the way up to the turbo, and then it's going to neck up to 3-inch. So I want to, so I did a bunch of calculations and stuff, and 2.5 inches should flow enough for roughly 500 horsepower or so at the motor, or maybe a little more. And that's a very crude number. So we'll know right away if that's too small. If that ends up being all too small, I'll go these 2-inch, which I obviously can't do any bigger because they're only 2-inch. They'll be 2-inch to 3-inch. And then we'll run the 3-inch all the way up. But if you run too big, you'll actually increase your leg because you have to fill up more volume of tubing on the way, especially when you're doing these long runs. So that's why we're only going to run 2.5. And it should be CFM wise with this engine and the horsepower and all that stuff. We should have enough volume through that 2.5 to support more horsepower than we're actually going to be trying to make. So we should be all good with 2.5, which is cool. Other than I ordered a whole bunch of 3-inch. So. All right, guys, this is working out pretty cool. It's not at all what I had in mind, but I'm excited about the path that we're going down here. This is going to perform really well. So a few things have changed along the way, but we'll hit those all up on Monday. I'll hit them up this weekend, and you'll see it on Monday. This is kind of the beginning of a little place car series I'm doing. So as soon as the twin turbos are done on this car, which really shouldn't be too long, a month. I'm giving myself a month to be done, dyno tuned, done. And hopefully we'll be done before then. And then after that, we're going to start building a Caprice. So a Chevy Caprice, a little bit older than this one. It's a 90. That's the last of the square body ones. And we're going to be going old school on powering that one. That's going to be a 302 Chevy. So it's a D-stroked 350, all aftermarket, aluminum heads, roller cam, and all that stuff. Both cars should put out around 400 horse at the rear wheels. Getting there completely differently. So it's going to be a really fun comparison between the two, and we'll kind of see how we go. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you again on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's how I'm going to try to release these episodes on this build. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you again Monday.